Heavy is the head that has to manage all of this.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel.
We're now incentivized to buy what we already buy.
Fumbling through college had me building.
I also got some done on the other side.
And that was right around, I would say, May, maybe, right before renewing the lease for this property.
Welcome to the channel, Martha.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, I was going to say, I am getting up there in age, I'll tell you what.
Bills paid by other people, life was never this good. I had to step back, knowing that it's...
Why don't you just get married? I just came back from my 2-hour workout, got my candle lit, and I'm about to answer an important question that I get asked all the time. You know, there's pressures to getting married. Now, you all came here for the same reasons. Maybe you're married, maybe you're thinking about marriage, maybe you're considering it, maybe you're not at all. Why don't you get married? You have 2 houses. You have hundreds of thousands of dollars in your bank account. You have your 401k, your Roth IRA, your expenses, your passive income. They're all hitting on all cylinders. I mean, you're a young 26-year-old man turning 27 this year. Why don't you just settle down and get married? My mom has asked me for the last 2 years to have children, especially when I bought my second home. She was like, okay, it's time for my grandchildren. Every single conversation that I have with me and my girlfriend, with my mom on the phone, when am I gonna have babies? When are you going to get her pregnant? These are the conversations that I'm always having. My uncles may even ask me, hey, when are you getting married? When are you tying the knot? You know, coming from an African family, these type of conversations are always going to persist no matter what I say I want to do, and the conversations that I've had with my own family members as well. So why don't I get married? Well, as a logical man, they say that those who learn from other people's mistakes are wise. And in order to be wise, I need to study history and learn from other people's mistakes. So only 50% of marriages end in divorce. Only 50%. 80% of the time, it is initiated by women, which means 20% of the time it's initiated by men. I find this very perplexing. Why is that? Because half of the people who get into a marriage will be divorced. Typically, that time frame is between 5 to 7 years of marriage. So after 5 to 7 years with someone, obviously there's boredom that kicks in. There's a lot of things that kick in. It's truly up to you to mentally say, hey, I'm with this person because this is a nice, kind, generous person who has been there for me and has the qualities that I need in order to fulfill a family dynamic. That's at least what I would hope the conversations are like. But everyone has their own preferences and their own belief system into which they get with somebody. But it is my belief that if you were to marry someone, they should at least have the qualities instilled in them that you were looking for in a lifelong partner. And therefore, anything else outside of that is irrelevant. So for example, if a man is to walk away from his marriage, which 20% of the time a man does, most likely they're making more money than a woman because women tend to date up. They don't tend to date down. And that's why I said tend to, because there are some women who will date the Pookie and Ray Ray and not really get the highest caliber of man. So for me, there are women that I've talked to that I've dated who have made more active income than me. Passively, not so much. Doesn't mean that they can't, but they just haven't at that time. And, you know, those women are few and far in between and definitely going to be older than me because I'm only 26. I can highly doubt that someone my age is making more than me in a reoccurring basis. So with that being said, a man who is filing for divorce is not only risking his money, but if he has children, obviously women are likely to get custody unless there is an insinuating circumstance like a mental health illness, drug addiction, history of criminal activity, right? If all slates are clean, man's slate is clean, woman's slate is clean, the judge is going to just hand it off to the mother as the caregiver because history shows that women and children, right, tend to be together, and therefore the man will just be cut off on a basis of everything being equal. What's not equal is sex, and therefore they're going to give it to the woman. So the man actually needs a leg up in order to get custody of his own child. Then you need permission to then get visitation. A lot of people like to believe that men don't want to see their children. And the truth is that they do, right? Like most people who are having kids actually want their kids, especially if they married you to have when they had children. They're definitely wanting those kids because they decided on that with you. So let's cut off the belief that men don't want their children. They do. I mean, I've done everything that I've done for the sake of eventually having children in the future. So that is actually the most important future thing in my entire life. And so to just assume that men don't want children is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I would argue that the reason we work as hard as we do is for our future offspring. At least in my case, that is the case. So when you work that hard for your future offspring, you're now letting the world know, hey, I sacrifice as much as I do for my future offspring, but that sacrifice has yielded me such returns and investments like my money and my assets that I've now accumulated over almost half a decade. Imagine just marrying someone and they're now entitled to half of all the work that I've ever done, all the stress, all the struggle that they weren't around for, that they weren't there for. And they didn't have to stick it out with me. They instead said, you know what? I'm going to walk away from this, but I'm going to walk away from this richer. Still have the child support, which I'm okay with the child support. I think most men would be okay with the child support. They all want to support their children. And then it's incumbent on that man to find a woman that is actually about using the money for their children. If the woman is spending the money on herself, then you know what type of person that you laid down with, so that is what it is. You know, I'm never going to complain that, hey, this woman is using the money on herself, because it's indicative of my decisions on who I decided to select as a lifetime partner. I understand that anyone can be enticed. Imagine having millions of dollars and telling someone, hey, if you walk away, you leave with half of this. Anyone can be enticed by that type of situation, especially if they feel like they're being mistreated in any way. And it doesn't have to be physical, because I'm never physical, but it could be verbal. It could be the lack of communication. It can be the sense of you not needing that person, right? And them feeling not wanted as much or appreciated. And therefore, many things can transpire to where they're leaving out better than which they came. For me, I'd still be fine. I mean, 2 houses. Let's say I have to give away one of them. Guess what? I still have another house to rest my head and lay my head at. I still have half of my assets and income, so I can build back from that just as good as I was before. I'm still going to have passive and active income, so I'll be just fine. However, I can just still remember those days. I can still remember those years of struggle to get to where I am today, and to just give that away because someone no longer feels the need to love me is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So people might say, why don't you just get a prenup? Well, there's no such thing as an ironclad prenup. And we're seeing that in today's time, where people are saying that they signed under duress, that they signed this and that. Listen, I wish men can just say, I signed up for marriage under duress. Right? But no one is able to do that. But yet, when you sign a prenup, you can now say it's under duress. That makes no sense to me. And so basically, many people would then ask me, well, why would you get married with the possibility of even thinking or considering divorce? Of course it's going to happen if you believe that. And you know why they say of course it's going to happen? Because half of the people who get married go through divorce anyway. So of course it's going to happen if you believe that. Then yeah, if I believe that, then I shouldn't get married. You're making it even more simple for me, because guess what? They're telling me to get married, right? Now, if I believe that divorce is a 50-50 possibility, of course it's going to happen if you believe that. That's how they deny all accountability. And then once you get married, and if you end up divorced, They can say, well, it's because you believed what you believed that you ended up this way. Zero accountability. They're not going to refund your pockets. They're not going to give you the hundreds of thousands of dollars that you lost in a settlement. They're not going to refund you for the headaches that you went through. Imagine being me. Just put yourself in my shoes right now. I can walk away from a relationship knowing that I gave away nothing financially except future active income towards child support should I have a child. I think I'd be just fine. I can already envision the hundreds of women lined up at my door to welcome into this house. Not that that is necessary, not that I need that, because I don't. But imagine things really truly being equal, being on the same playing field, leaving with what you came in with. How many men would be afraid to walk away? They say it's cheaper to keep her. I would argue it's cheaper to not marry. Because a lot of the time people are literally, they are stressed. They're frustrated. They're tired. They want to see their children. They don't want to lose half of everything that they've worked for their entire life. They don't want to have to pay for a child because of their age, but do the things that they've been doing. They want to continue to live the life that they've been living. They want to enjoy their lives the way they've been enjoying it. They want to be able to do the things that they want to do. But now they have to sacrifice this, they have to sacrifice this. And yes, marriage requires sacrifice, but not to the extent where you're pandering now to a specific group of people. There are people who are going to be jealous of me. They're going to be angry and jealous of me for being wise enough to understand this. But guess what? Any man that's ever been divorced would never tell me that that I feel the way I feel and I'm incorrect in my feelings. No man who has been divorced will ever come to me and say, you're incorrect for feeling the way that you're feeling. Listen, I don't have feelings involved in this. If 80% of marriages ended in divorce because of man, women would also be skeptical. Why would I ever get married, right? Why would I ever do this? Why would I ever do that? You tell me where the liability is for the woman to get married. You tell me where the incentive is for the man to get married. There's absolutely no incentive for me to get married, except if you want me to literally lose half of everything that I've ever worked for on top of paying child support every single month. So the way I look at it is, yes, I have a lovely girlfriend. Yes, she is amazing. Yes, if she were to have my children, I would be very happy and very lucky to be with her. I can put her on the deeds to all of my properties. I've already showed her how to invest, how to save, how to do these things. I can give her an allowance should she opt to stay at home and be a mother. I can show her how to invest in her 401k, Roth IRA, and all these things and invest for her future without necessarily needing to buy property and deal with the maintenance, repairs, and property taxes and all that other nonsense should she choose to work. She can still be a millionaire just in the stock market. And that's, again, my brain, my mindset, crafting and really uplifting the women in my lives so that they are able to stand on their own 2 feet should anything ever happen to me. The mother of my children will not be a dummy. I can promise you that. But, my girl who's in my life wasn't in school at the time. She was working very, very hard. She had her own place, all that stuff, right? So there's some sacrifice that she took. She moved in with me. That's a sacrifice, right? You're giving away your freedom. She started going to school. That's something that she wanted to do, but again, still a sacrifice when you're also working. But guess what? She got to reduce her expenditure by moving in with me. She's no longer paying for a 1-bedroom apartment, right? She got to increase her freedom and her freedom of time. She's no longer waking up at 3 a.m. to go to work. She can now work however she pleases, right? And then she no longer has to worry about food, soap, clothes, all these useless things that make up our lives today. Why? Because she's with me. Has her life improved? Absolutely. Has my life improved? Absolutely. I'm no longer partying as much as I used to. I'm no longer spending well, I don't know about the spending part, but you know, I'm having more time to dedicate to the things that matter, such as my YouTube channel, such as all the other stuff. And it's because I'm not out here necessarily chasing women, because as men, we are hunters, right? So we're going to do a lot of the chasing. But you asked me, what is the incentive of marriage today? Now, here's the caveat. I would have to really, really do a lot of research, but I can do a traditional marriage in a foreign country like Africa. However, I do not see myself marrying under American laws, having the government dictate my liberties, my freedoms, and my rights as a human being because of a piece of paper that I decided to sign. And the only person who is obligated to fulfill his vows and obligations without repercussions is the man, right? I mean, with repercussions is the man. And everyone else is free to really do whatever they want. And guess what? Those who file for divorce first tend to actually end up on the better side of things in the long run. And guess what? 80% of women initiate the divorce. Therefore, 80% of the time, they're going to end up on the better side of things. Men are not thinking about divorce. They're thinking about keeping their children together, keeping their family together, keeping that structure together. And I'm not saying that women want divorce. I'm not saying that they want or look for these things. But people change. And guess what? They're incentivized to change. And we need to take the incentivification out of it in order to really have a neutral understanding of what is best, not only for the family, but for each individual. So if you like this video, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You know I post every single day at 8 a.m. daily on YouTube and on Rumble. And I can't wait to see you on the next one. Peace.